So here we have most of the first layer of the print for the planter top. You can see here there's some kind of weird deviations. Unfortunately, that is going to be a common theme throughout the print here. In a number of different ways. I'm having an issue with the filament feeding into the hot end. So this whole thing here is called the hot end. It's what melts the plastic and extrudes it. It's also known as the extruder. And you can see right here that that is the filament going into the extruder. And the system that I have that the filament is on, I'm going to have to modify, and until I do that, unfortunately, there's a lot of drag against the extruder, so sometimes it can do anything from extrude less plastic to get these weird deviation lines when it has to pull particularly hard. So fortunately, this is just in support material, so it isn't anything devastating, but like I said, it does kind of begin a trend, unfortunately, throughout the print. But you can see here that when the second layer goes in, it's not so bad. See where the deviation is here, and then the second layer is in straight lines pretty much over all of the affected area. So not the end of the world. And then, like I said, it's for support material anyway, so it's not an actual part of the topper. So here actually is the beginning of a number of issues. Some of them related to what I was telling you about earlier with the having problems feeding filament into the extruder, but others were my own stupid. Well, I'll explain those now. So first off, there's this guy here. Unfortunately, I was not in the workspace when this actually happened, so whatever it was had already gotten a layer of plastic over the top of it. So I'm not entirely sure what that is, but I've got a few pics here that I'll bring out after this one to illustrate how, with just the subsequent layers that ended up on top of it, it basically becomes a non-issue. Number two is, you can see right in here the threading where the plastic isn't quite bonding to the one, as it goes, it kind of goes in a like this, like if you've seen it 100 times, I'm sure by now. And one stripe across isn't bonding with the next one and so forth, and so you get this threading. Since this is the first layer of the actual topper, getting that threading like that does not bode well. That's not to say that it can't be dealt with, but I think it's going to be an issue. But there's only one way to know for sure. So anyway, so we'll move on. Oh, right, number three. So this is support material here in the center. At first, I thought that this was just Cura not being very picky about where it puts its support material, because this is a cone, so it's going to be graduating thinner and thinner as this builds up. But in a second here, I'll show you what that is actually a prelude to. So yeah, anyway. So you can see here, I took a close-up of that. I don't know if it's some kind of just like a wad of plastic or what happened there. Like, I honestly, I can't tell you. Like I said, I wasn't in the room. So, it's pretty obvious. But then, so this is one layer over the top of it. And yes, it's still very visible, but look at how much it is diminished just from one layer of plastic over it. You can see how it's alternated here with the lines going this way for the lower layer, and then the layer that it's putting on top going this way. Yeah, you can, I was kind of just, you know, taking a bunch of pictures so you can see, kind of get better angles of it. See how it's, instead of that big knot, it's basically just become these kind of ridges with the nodule there. But yeah, so this is an additional layer on top of that. And you can see now it's, I mean, it's a little more, I mean, it's just barely visible. You don't even notice it. Yeah, see, it's all but gone. So this is one of the final layers here. You can see how there's just, you know, just a couple of points that rise up a little bit. And then, yeah, you can see again the threading and problems that I was having because the extruder is not getting filament. It's having to work really hard for it, basically. I will probably be doing a mini episode to cover how I fix my filament feeding problem here in the near future, so look out for that. Yeah, shameless self-plug. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, it's all but gone, and then like, it's actually covering part of it now, and you can't even tell the lower part. And then this is what it looks like after the final layer has been applied. So you can see these lines. That's the infill for the gap between the bottom and the top of the lid section. But yeah, I mean, as you can see here, I mean, it's just the slightest traces of it that remain. Like it wasn't even, it didn't even bother the application of the infill. So so yeah, I mean, whatever that was ended up not being a huge issue. So so yeah, I'm not gonna worry about it, I guess. So now this is where that problem with the support material in the center became realized. So it is starting the dome that is acting as support for what the, you know, for the cone, and this should not be there. This is a very, very huge issue. So what I did was I went back and looked at what is basically the episode before this one, and checked out the video from getting everything set up in Cura, and I completely did not notice that this was there. And so I went back even further into the video from Tinkercad, and I figured out what I did, and I will put that video up here and probably right around in here so you can see what I did, or maybe I'll just do a whole cover up of the thing and do a little voiceover so I can show you what I did. Actually, that's probably what I'll do. So I dropped back into Cura and to take a look, and I couldn't believe it. I was looking at it the whole time and didn't even notice that it was there. I mean, you can see, like, you know, I'm testing different parts of it to make sure that everything is connected and stuff, looking right at it. I mean, at one point here, I even moused directly over the top of what is obviously a closing and completely didn't notice it. So went back to Tinkercad and the video of the Tinkercad to see what I actually did. And if you see right there, I grabbed the lift tag, not the increase height tag, which would have been that white little square underneath it. So that is what actually did it. I needed to do this, but I used the wrong tag. So instead of making the cone just, you know, cover all of it, I just moved it up to where it covered all of what was visible from the inside, leaving me with that 10 millimeters underneath. Anyway, so what this translates into is well, here, let me move it on a little bit. So you can see as the dome is building up, and then the support material for the ridge that the can will sit on, we'll see. You can see here. Look at how much thickness it is. It ended up being 10 millimeters thick, and so I was already invested. I mean, this was like 6 hours into the print, and I know it doesn't look like much got done, but you know, considering its size and the amount of plastic involved, because like I said, I built it really sturdy, I didn't want to just give up on it, knowing that I can just, you know, drill it out basically, and it won't be a problem. I will modify the actual file so that if anybody actually wants to use this design for their own warp pipe planter, this this deal won't be there. I will make sure that it is corrected. But I get to do it the hard way because I didn't want to waste all this plastic. So, so it's building up and up. Yeah, you can see where it's finally broken away and is going to actually build the cone as usual. Right? So, and then you can see the support material building up and up. So this is it starting to build the part that the can will actually rest on. Like this right here is basically the lip that it'll be sitting on. And then again, I couldn't, it was moving really fast, so I couldn't get a nice sharp image, unfortunately, but it doesn't matter. You can still see here that I'm getting that threading again. Fortunately, it was not a major issue. Yeah, see, like that's some minor threading, like that's even not that bad, but then here where you got the bigger gaps, and then here, you know, like this is supposed to be covered and it's not. But when all was said and done, it ended up being just fine. So this is the lip that will sit on the inside of the can. This is the well that the actual edge of the can will sit in. So everything turned out pretty fine. It, you know, I won't be able to tell whether or not it's good and sturdy until we do the test, but for now it looks like it corrected itself pretty well. And then this is the final guy. I will get it off there. It looks really weird, but when it's in place and doing what it's supposed to be doing, I think everything will function as normal. So yeah, let me get this bad boy off of the print plate and we'll do a fitting, and I can point out any issues that came as the result of that weird threading thing with the filament feeding issue, and all of that here next. All right, see you in the workspace.